U of H has not given up on the entire season. The Cougars rolled North Texas Saturday night 45-26 with sophomore quarterback Clayton Tune having a nice game, completing 16 of 20 passes for 124 yards and a touchdown. Plus, he ran for 100 yards and, most importantly, did not commit a turnover. But the reason he was playing is Duarte King has elected to redshirt this season. The Houston Chronicles' Joseph Duarte talks about that decision in this week's Spotlight interview brought to you by Nascala Gaming.
Well, you know, Dana Holgerson's plan since he got here has been to try to work out the roster. The numbers just aren't there in terms of guys that are available. Some guys have redshirted early on in the career or didn't redshirt at all, actually. And then you've got guys who are seniors who still have that year. So Dana Holgerson has made it a point from day one to say, if you're a senior, it's on the table. And I think in the case of Duarte King and Keith Corbin, you got to the fourth game of the year where you had to make a decision, and they came in the day after the Tulane game, put all the options on the table, and if you were going to make a decision, it's this week. But Dana Holgerson as a whole has put this out there, but in this particular situation, Duarte King was one of the ones who came in and said, you know, what are the options, and let's talk about them. Well, you know, I think there's two ways to look at it. There's the expectations that I think they were just too high to begin with. This wasn't a team, you know, they were a point or two away in the preseason poll of surpassing Memphis, who's won the division the last two games. I was just shocked at that because I didn't think that what they were returning, what they had, that you had to make that such a leap in his first year. But ultimately, Jerome, if they're going to struggle. I mean, you look at what they're having. Clayton Tune doesn't play defense, neither did Duarte King, so until you get that solved, that's a huge problem. And then now you're going to start a young man who only has 2 career starts at quarterback. In the schedule, you still have Central Florida, you have Memphis, you have Cincinnati. This thing could get ugly before it gets better. Finding 6 wins to be bowl eligible is really going to be a challenge. So I think Dana Holgerson knows that they could be in for a rough ride, but he's said that year 2 is always better when you're learning an offense, and that's the key in this. They want the guys that are redshirting to learn the system, come back next year when the schedule's much easier, a lot of transfers coming in that are sitting now, and they feel like they can be much, much better in year 2. I think it's fair to say that Dana Holgerson has put a target, maybe not necessarily on his back, but just the program in general, because of what they're doing. Now, this is not the way the rule was intended. He admits that. But there's 4 games there. They can use them how they want. This is how they're choosing to use them. It happens to be their best player, their second best receiver, one of their better backs. So you combine that with the fact that they've got Alabama's former #1 recruit coming in as a pass rusher. You got a great receiver coming in. You got a couple of corners that you need. The expectations are going to be huge for this team. You have a chance in terms of the schedule to get through non-conference pretty much unscathed. So when you look at it, Jerome, and the fact that he's saying year 2 is supposed to be better, people are going to hold him to it. What does that mean? Does that mean 9 wins? Does that mean 10? Does that mean run the table kind of like they did in 2015? We don't know that, but if it's going to be a 3-win season this year, anything's going to be better, but I think you'd have to set the expectation as 9 wins or more, because you remember, what do they do for 8-win coaches at this program? And not that Dana Holgerson's going anywhere, but they expect much better, and if it's got to be at the expense of this year, they'll take next year and to make a run for it. I would put it at 10% or less. You know, you look at what's going on, and a lot of variables have been thrown at me. What happens if Clayton Tune goes out and wins all 8 games this year? And it makes it a difficult decision. That's not a difficult decision. Duarte King is still your quarterback, and as long as he chooses to be at the University of Houston, he will be the quarterback. Now, they made it really, really strong in terms of the message that he is not in the transfer portal. That means if you're another school and you contact Duarte King, that's an NCAA rules violation. So they're going to be monitoring that very closely. And unless something huge changes, whether he's not happy, he has a change of heart, I would completely and fully expect Duarte King to be the starter next September when they open the season.